Welcome to another edition of The Voice of Palestine. It's March 16, 2013, and I'm your co-host, Hanna Qawas. This week, we'll be talking with Mahmoud Abdelal about the upcoming Palestinian Return Conference in Vancouver in May. Mahmoud, based in Montreal, is part of the organizing committee of the conference. Good evening to you, Mahmoud, and welcome to the Voice of Palestine.
Thank you, Mr. Hanna, and my high salutation to all the Palestinians in North America and Palestinians everywhere in the world.
Thank you. Could you tell us a bit about the idea of this conference? How did it come about, and why at this crucial time of history in the Palestinian struggle?
Well, thank you. That's a great question. The call actually came from various people from North America, various Palestinians, due to, like you mentioned, the critical point that we are now with the Palestinian cause back home. Mm-hmm. The issue that we're facing right now is that there's so many things that is happening back home that they're not according to what the majority of the Palestinians need. And especially the Palestinians that they are in the diaspora are actually missing the link of back home and their decision making or their tie, let's say, to Palestine itself. So the conference of the Shatat in North America came alive in the past year with the idea of having the Palestinian activists and the Palestinian community in North America to actually come together and discuss what is happening back home in Palestine and how we as Palestinians in the diaspora can be able to make our bridges or build our bridges back to the homeland, and in the same time be able to voice and bring our voice back home so we can be heard as part of the Palestinian community as if we existed back home.
Yeah. To think about it, the mandate of Abbas, he was elected for one term. He's serving his third term, although he was elected for one term. This is one thing, and the other thing, really, I think you are correct. He is not the best role model for Palestinians when he tells the Israeli he wanna give up his right of return to Safad, I believe.
Yeah.
So he's not really the best role model for the struggle, is he?
Unfortunately, the actual image of the struggle that we have as Palestinians have changed drastically in the last couple of years, and specifically since the death of the late Yasser Arafat. Since then, we can actually see, and it's very visible to everyone, the collapse or the uncertainty of where is the Palestinian cause is going and how do we represent it, and actually what are the goals that as Palestinians do we need, what are our rights. And until now the Palestinian Authority have failed miserably on more than one occasion, not only to be clear or visible to us and to contact us about what Palestinians want, but even on the simple terms and the simple point that the Palestinian resistance or the authority have been created, none of it so far has been applicated or been seen on the ground. So the whole representation that's happening at this point and the role and how the demands are being taken or thought of or discussed with the other parties are not even being taken in consideration seriously as a cause of people have been fighting for a long time. So the representation at this point is really I can't say for myself as a person, I would say as a Palestinian, I don't feel that represents me 100%. At the contrary, I believe that it's actually giving more of my rights to the other side without consulting me about it, or actually letting me know that these things are going on. And that's only me as a diaspora. So if we look at all the Palestinians and we talk to them about the whole situation, they all agree on one simple term, that they have no trust of the role of representation. And that, I think, it's one of the main key points that made everybody of the Shatat conference to come together and actually think about what we can do and what our roles can be to help, or to at least give a hand to our cause and help it out.
Yeah, and relatively speaking, really, the PLO, the Palestine Liberation Organization, used to really, relatively speaking, used to represent the Palestinian people all over the world, wherever these drawbacks it had, but at least it was a representative. After the Oslo process and the signing, and that's before the murder, really, of Yasser Arafat by even then, the PLO was hijacked, especially when it annulled the charter, which is the basis for any liberation movement. I mean, you can't have a liberation movement without a charter, and the charter was annulled in 96 and affirmed. The annulment was reaffirmed in 98 in Gaza again. So really, it's important to rebuild from the ground up, because there is no PLO. Some people saying to reorganize the PLO and to stick with the old charter. But again, the charter is an old document. It's written in '68, and many things happened. What do you think? Would the conference deal with these issues? Where the Palestinian liberation movement or the Palestinian struggle going, and what kind of alternatives we should have, or we should try to establish?
Yeah, I actually invite every Palestinian that's listening to us at this moment to look at our website, the shatatconference.org, or on Facebook they can go to the Conference of the Palestinian Shatat in Vancouver, in North America, I apologize, and they can find it. The conference will be built on two most important steps, and I think those two steps are can describe or answer your question in terms of the representation and what the PLO became, what the PA became PLO, and the mix between both. And now we actually don't know if it's the party or the government at this point, or the authority itself. So that's one thing where the PA was very successful at doing, on dissolving the two separate ones and make it one. So we have just the PA, and the PA became just one party of the Palestinian people, and it took over everything. And since Oslo, it came like a snowball effect, so one thing after another, and it just kept on rolling, and massively more things happened and were given to the other side. For that reason, in the conference in North America, in Vancouver, about between the 3rd and the 5th of May, we're going to be talking about the representation and organization. When I speak about representation, is how do we see the Palestinian Authority at this point? What can we play as a role to really bring the Palestinian Authority, and not becoming under one political party, where we always forget about Gaza, and Gaza is part of Palestine, and unfortunately we always think about the West Bank and Gaza as two separate entities which have to be as one. And we need from the Shatat to actually, from the diaspora, to really think about this, because this is one of the most important element of the conference, is that we need to bring the light about what should we do as in the diaspora to reevaluate the PA, to bring our voice of our unhappiness and our mistrust about what's going on and maybe change. I recall the PNC were calling about registration of Palestinians for the election, but that also never seen the light as much. So the conference will actually focus on a lot in the representation as political side, as what the PA are doing, what our role in Palestine. Yes, we're in diaspora, but our right of return will always stand for us. That's something that we cannot give up. So for that, we need to bring our voice back home. What can we do in the outside to help, if we can help? If it's something about coming together, all of us, and say in one word, we need this from back home, from the Palestinian Authority and the government, hopefully later to become, so having all the ideas from the diaspora and the pressure from the diaspora will be able to have a big connection of the Palestinian community overall, where now we're scattered all over the world. Also, in the representation, many questions will unite about our also presence in North America. Mind you that it's very important to work on the Palestinian Authority, our representation back home, our government, how they act about our name and the demand that they're doing on the negotiation table, what it's so called, is our role. And also in the diaspora as Palestinians. So actually, if we are together and we work together and having the same vision about what will happen and how we can get to the end point with our representation, it's something that I believe personally is it would help enormously our cause, because as much as in the inside they have the experience of the struggle, the outside must have the tools that together we can actually build a greater tool that we all can work under and have a perfect result.
I think you are right if we have really a state, but really the so-called authority is no authority. It's a sham. It's a scam, actually, because they can't control water, even municipal things they can't control. So really, I don't know. We can't. I don't want to be representative personally. I don't want to be representative by an agent regime to Israel or refugee regime. I mean, that's out of the question. But you're right if we have a state or a real authority, because this is a scam, really, what's happening in Palestine. They call it authority. At the same time, they don't have authority even on borders or on allowing Palestinians who come from the West Bank, let alone from inside Palestine, to come back. They enter at the whim of the Israeli occupier. So it's really under occupation, and to have an authority, I would argue that the first thing the conference should do is issue a statement saying, the authority should resign and give the responsibilities to the Israeli occupier, because that's what it is. I mean, they're doing the dirty work for the occupation.
Well, of course, nobody can agree on the shallowness of the Palestinian Authority right now, and actually how they have absolutely maybe authority on 5% of the total amount of the land that's supposed to be given to them, and even then we can argue about that they can't really have full control of these places. And I think the second part of representation, like I mentioned, about Palestinians outside Palestine, it's something that's really important, because we can pressure from the outside about changes that can happen in the inside, meaning even pressuring the U.S. or the Canadian government about things that's happening inside, that is also a tool that we can always utilize and work on, because these things become tools that we can work eventually. We have to understand that the Western countries have greater influence, even though that how Israel has been interpreted so far in the news media as like the rebellious kid of the U.S., which is, she never says sorry to her master. But at the end, we can always work from the west side, from the outside the country, to actually utilize where we are, have positions in the countries that we live in, the cities, and be able to get to build those connections that give us a stronger ability to actually, at the end, go to the PA, and not necessarily to the PA itself, to actually just call for a new election and be able for everyone that is in the West Bank or outside the West Bank to say, I have a voice to say, and who can represent me. And this is what I want to be represented by, and what do I need from Palestine and from the person who's going to talk on my name. And that is something that I can personally say that unanimously everybody who's organizing the conference is looking at the real solution that we can have for the major problem that we have. Because at this point, we can seriously say, after all these years that passed from Oslo, we came to the most critical point to our cause, especially on the issues and the stress level that the Middle East itself is living, because we can't deny how much the outside forces are actually contributing on the Palestinian cause itself. And all of that is always, and the amount of pressure, the amount of settlements that's been building in the West Bank, it's going on a rate that it's like building a new country in a country without caring about any UN resolutions, which is passes by Israel like wind in spring. So I mean, we all have the responsibility for this cause. That it's not always about a political side that we have to work on for Palestine. It could be on many different levels. It can be from a doctor to a politician. But all that to say is we really need to work from here in the diaspora. It's something that's really critical for us to finally come together and always brainstorm together. What should we do? What is the next step? Where can we go from here? Because at this point, I don't think anybody can deny that is very unhappy about the situation back home.
So, basically, the objective of the conference really is, the first one is really to mobilize the Palestinian in the Shitat, in the diaspora, to be part of the decision making, although there is no decision being making. All the decisions are being made in Washington and Tel Aviv for us.
It's been giving like I would like to highlight it.
Yes, because, and if they don't obey the orders, they'll tell you, we're not going to give you money, and without money, the authority can't pay even simple facts, although the responsibility for, education and all these services lies in the shoulder of the occupation. So that's why I'm saying, they better leave this so-called authority to the Israelis, because they are the actual authority, although they are controlling the 3%, you said, of the rest of the towns and cities. But, Israel goes at will, and arrests anybody, even from Ramallah, the so-called capital of so, it's a joke. But, could you tell us a bit about the objectives in general, and, also what the conference is trying to achieve, although I'm sure it's open for the delegates to decide on the final resolutions and final things. But if you have give us a vision of what's the objectives and what is the aims of this conference.
Absolutely. Well, We have. First of all, everybody can take a look in our website about in the section about for the basic unity, so everybody can have a look what I'm going to be saying in the next seconds. But the conference basis is as simple as it is. We want to create a space for Palestinian thinkers to come together and be able to work or decide and what our next step is. So technically the conference it's not actually like usually other conferences where you go and you have a panel and it's mostly informative, but the conference in Vancouver will be more as a practice, as action, meaning that we want to make a conference as a space for the attendees to sit down together and be able to come up with not necessarily solutions or answers at this point, because it's a very complex situation to come in and answer with a very short time, but it's to give them the ability of going what's the next step and working with these steps afterwards, and different various reasons, that it's political, cultural, artistic, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, so basically starting a process of empowerment for the people in North America at least. Absolutely,
because like we all feel and that we don't have any decision making back home. So that was one of the biggest points that we needed to bring back, and is for making every Palestinian who's going to be attending, or if they're not able to attend, they'll be contacted or they'll be seen by the members of after the conference, because after the conference we would like to make it more an action point, not a conference you go attend and you'll learn, but just it's informative. But we need people to really feel that they are part of this movement, part of this action, part of their decision, part of what they think. And that is something that I believe, and everybody believes, that it would give each one the feeling that he actually contributing and moving forward to the end point. And by far, I believe the conference, with its program and the way we set it up, I believe that it's going to give enormous amounts of time or space for people to think and be really democratic about their thought and come together to decide where we can go from this.
Yeah, and hopefully it'll be a spark for future actions and empowerment, rather than, you said, it's just a conference and we learn something and we go home and sleep. Hopefully it'll be a jumping board towards what we need as Palestinians and as a liberation movement, where to go to, right? And this is really important, because we've been in our shitat, our diaspora, we've been neglected and sidelined by the so-called the so-called leadership of the Palestinian people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And another point too is the us in the diaspora. I think there's a lot of action. There's a lot of representation from active people, of active Palestinians and non-Palestinian Arabs, and actually non-Arabs, from Jewish descendants and whatnot in North America. And there is this actual solidarity that is going on towards Palestine and the work that is happening. But I do believe that the Palestinians themselves, they might not find the actual place where they can freely think, because we have to understand that Palestinians are from different types. We've been scattered in different cities and different places, so each one is a little bit, let's say, different from the way they went through life, but giving the example that we all can sit down on one table and actually bring together something where every single member that's going to attend will go back home and actually be starting to work on the objective that they decide in the conference itself. And the program of the conference, where we have workshops, and I don't like to call them workshops. I like to call them discussions, more or less. And actually, we might actually change that to discussions, because we really believe that that's going to be not actually a workshop, but a discussion between people who decide to attend this discussion. And from that discussion, the time that they have is to try to study the situation that they have in hand from all angles, from all point of view, and be able to bring at the end a resolution or a campaign to present at the final day. And technically, that's what we'd like to have. It's coming back from the conference on Sunday with, let's say, campaign or tasks where people will be working together and strengthening this tie between each, that you are in Montreal and working with somebody from San Francisco or Vancouver or Chicago or New York. We would like to eliminate this distance between people and bring them together on a closer level, so they can actually make these campaigns or work after the conference very valuable to them and to our cause back home.
Yeah, and it's doable now. We are in the age of the internet and Skype and all these things, that we could use to make the distance close and among Palestinians and our supporters. There is some items in the principles of unity relating to the nature of Canada and the United States as a settler colonialist regime, similar to the settler colonialist regime in Palestine, that's Israel. And could you talk a bit about that and about our responsibility in exposing these governments to their support for settler colonialism and war crimes, really, in Palestine?
We have seen, and I'll be talking about Canada. I'm sure in the U.S. it has happened. The Ideal No More movement that has been striking very heavily in North America due to so many misconduct, let's call it, by the Canadian government against the Native Americans. And we have to understand that North America, that it's Canada or the United States, is actually Native American land that has been taken from them, occupied by these countries. And now they have no right, absolutely no right. They're actually occupied in little towns by the government with very little rights and any help from them. And the Palestinians actually see this, because we understand the occupation, we understand settlement, and we understand all of that problem. And lately, also from Palestine, there have been, from Palestine and Canada, there's the support in between the Palestinian cause and the Ideal No More.
Yeah,
they actually sponsored each other, and that was one of the greatest moments actually for me, because Canada and the U.S. play very, very harsh international affair, and their role in most of in the world is mostly by military and occupation and whatnot, and we can see that across the globe. But specifically for the Middle East and America and Canada, and unfortunately Canada with the conservative government has sidelined blindly with the support of Israel, and we can see our Prime Minister happily declaring that over national TV about the support to Israel, and even our Minister of Defense and Immigration Minister, and
actually
all the package, the friends of the conservatives, and they're blindly and very happily exposing that they actually are supporting the Israeli government occupation on the Palestinian land, and it's the Israeli right to defend itself against us, which is even when they declare that on national TV for international affair, and then yet you come to Canada in the Northern Territories and you go to a Native Indian reserve actually, that's what it's called now, a reserve for the Native American, and you can see the condition that they live in. It's technically almost, it's nothing different between a reserve in North America and a refugee camp back home, minus the detail of the military being present 24/7. The similarities become very, very obvious and available to everyone to see. So it's important for us to actually exposing that here and there and show them exactly the support that the North American governments are giving to Israel and the ruthlessness that they're playing role in. They're just supporting military. Technically, it's not even a government at this point. It's just a military complex with a different role of people, what's called prime minister and whatnot. But at the end of the game, it's a military complex sponsored by the West, and without the West support, this military complex cannot go further. So it's really important for our law to expose that, and the more we can actually come together, not only for North America, for the government, if it's Palestinian or not, I think we all have an obligation to show what the government are doing on the land. And as Palestinians, we have a moral and even bigger responsibility to show what these countries that we actually live in, how much are they actually sponsoring and supporting the occupation forces that is taking our land ourselves.
Yeah, and accordingly they are really complicit in these ethnic cleansing and war crimes and apartheid in Palestine for sure. I'd like to go back a bit if you wanna, if you finished about this point, maybe we should go and talk about how people can help the conference and I'm sure the details are on the website, which is PalestinianConference.org actually.
Exactly.
It's PalestinianConference.org, so people can just go to the internet and go to PalestinianConference.org, and there they could see the principles of unity, and also an important subject, also the conference objectives. And these are there for people to look at, and if they agree, and I hope all Palestinians would agree, even if they disagree with certain items, they should be welcome to discuss them at the conference, isn't it, Mahmoud?
We are. I really, from here again, I would call on every Palestinian that's hearing this to actually go on the website. And if you don't hear it from the radio, and I hope somebody friends will tell friends about going to the website, the PalestinianConference.org. So far the website is really updated very frequently, so we have the latest information on the website. You can see, like you mentioned, our basis of unity under About Us tab within the website. Also, the objective can be there, and you have the Contact Us button. We would like people to register if they're able to come to the conference, and if you can spread the word to everyone that can. If on a health basis, as we all know, every major event or every conference needs a lot of work and a lot of very hard work from a lot of people, and also it needs support from everyone so we can this conference happen. So on the website itself, on the main page, there is a donate button on the right side. So if anybody would be able to help us to achieve our goal and make this conference as most prosperous as possible, that would be great. For even, like you mentioned, for even the Palestinians that don't agree completely with what is mentioned on the website, I really actually invite them to contact us and tell us about what they think if they can't attend the conference. If they can't attend the conference, I actually invite them more to be able to come, because that would help us as well. Every single person that can give us an idea or a way that we can go about for the future is an asset that we can't look at on the side. Every Palestinian is a voice that needs to be registered and needs to be there, needs to be heard. So even if they don't agree 100%, please come. If you can see the conference, that will even greater, because then you can actually discuss your point and see the other side. If you can't come, please email us with your thought, and we'll be more than happy to take that into consideration. And if we can discuss it by some other people that are in the conference, that is something that we can do as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. There is also sponsorship levels and benefits. So, and this is directed really against groups. So we encourage groups to look at the website and to look at these sponsorship levels. Mahmoud, really, even if people decided not to come to the conference, really it's incumbent on them to do something about it, because it is the destiny and the future of our new Palestinian generations is at stake. And without doing something, we're gonna lose our rights and our dignity also. So for the sake of our future generations, people should do something, and this is a good start.
I hope so, and I hope that everybody will see the conference. We're working hard, actually, even after the conference, for people that couldn't attend the conference, to give them a little overview about the conference and what happened and how did it go about, and from everybody on the organizing, this is the first step for the future. Mm-hmm. And we really hope that that's something that, like our problem started with a snowball effect, we like the solution to start also with a snowball effect. And starting from the conference and after the conference, hopefully after the conference we can build a greater tool for even people that can't attend, or they're in remote locations, or they can only help on a certain level and not completely be there. Mm-hmm. That is something we're going to try as much as possible to build together and make that tool available to everyone, so we can make and empower everyone on even the smallest level of help. That is something that we need to go about and to continue our fight to the end.
Yeah, and really we thank you, Mahmoud, and keep up the good work, and looking forward to see you in Vancouver.
Me too. Thank you very much, Mr.
Thanks a lot. Keep up the good work, and have a good night.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
And that was our co-host Hana Kawas talking with Mahmoud Abdelal about the upcoming Palestinian Return Conference being held in May in Vancouver. I've been your co-host Miriam Kawas, and our closing piece of music is dedicated to Rachel Corrie on the 10th anniversary of her murder by Israeli forces. In honor of that, we will be presenting a brief excerpt from what her father said on this anniversary, as well as part of the call to action by the Rachel Corrie Foundation. We'll then finish off with a piece of music by Egyptian-Canadian singer Miriam Tollar entitled Simply Rachel. But first, here is part of what Craig Corrie said on the anniversary of his daughter's killing, under the title, 10 Years On, I Want Answers for My Daughter, Rachel Corrie. On March 16, 2003, my daughter Rachel Corrie was crushed to death under a bulldozer driven by an Israeli Defense Forces soldier. The bulldozer was manufactured in the United States by Caterpillar Inc. and paid for by U.S. foreign military financing aid. My tax dollars paid for the machine used to kill my daughter. In a telephone conversation the next day, Israeli Prime Minister Sharon promised President Bush a thorough, credible, and transparent investigation into Rachel's killing, with a report to the U.S. government. In response, April 24, 2003, our family received a printed PowerPoint presentation circulating in Congress purporting to explain the death of our daughter. This report, created by officers in command of the IDF unit that killed Rachel, concluded, quote, Ms. Corrie was not run over by a bulldozer, but sustained injuries caused by earth and debris which fell on her during bulldozer operation. Not only was this statement not supported by accounts from Rachel's friends and their photographs, it was subsequently contradicted by Captain R.S., the highest-ranking IDF officer on the scene. In Haifa District Court in April 2011, he pointed to the blade marks on the ground in one of the photos and swore he knew in the first minute that the bulldozer had run over Rachel. That was brief excerpts from a piece written by Craig Corrie, the father of Rachel Corrie, in the Congress blog. And we'd also like to just present the concluding statements from the Rachel Corrie Foundation on the 10th anniversary of Rachel's killing. They said, "Let's use this March anniversary as an opportunity to make some noise and be visible in our support for equal rights for Palestinians, accountability and justice, and an end to Israeli occupation. Let's remember, act, and celebrate together how we, like Rachel, have stood this past decade for justice, freedom, equality, and peace in the Middle East and beyond. And let's think together about how we move ahead to make freedom for Palestine a reality." And with that, we conclude another edition of The Voice of Palestine. As mentioned earlier, our closing piece of music is by Egyptian-Canadian singer Miriam Tollar, entitled Rachel. May her memory live on.
Show us the path.